All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, from wherever you are. Maybe I should even say good morning, or I should even say good evening. Depending on where you're watching from, some of you could be abroad in America, in Australia, in India, in Asia, South Africa, Nigeria, Togo, Mauritius, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi. So I don't know where. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's my joy to be here this time to be bringing the message of the gospel. It's my pleasure to be at Uganda Christian University because I call this home. I want to appreciate the leadership of the university for giving me this opportunity to come and share in the message of the gospel. This morning, I was remembering something that happened on the 4th of July, 2013. That's about 8 years ago. Exactly 8 years ago next month, on the 4th of July, I was involved in a terrible accident, fatal accident, that left my arm very deeply wounded. My back had very many wounds. My bones were broken in my right foot. My ankle was washed away, and so on and so forth. So in just 1 second, my bones were broken. For about 4 months, my bones were being mended. And now, for the last 8 years, my bones have been very strong. They are stronger. I stand here today to talk about mending strained relationships. Mending strained relationships. The way my bones were broken that afternoon of 4th of July 2013 at 3:30 p.m. on the northern bypass in Kampala, Uganda, the way I took all the 4 months mending those bones and my muscles and everything, but also the fact that now these have been 8 years of God's grace, my bones strong and well, my body awesome and fine. We are talking about relationships that could have also encountered some accidents. For me, it was a truck trailer, 24-tire vehicle, long, huge, stout, strong, dangerous, that hit me. I don't know for you what has hit your relationships. Maybe yours are not broken yet. Maybe yours are simply strained. So we are talking about mending those relationships, whether they are strained or they are broken. You know, when you talk about being strained, you're talking about being stressed, being on tension, being filled with anxiety, being filled with nervousness, being on the edge, and filled with a lot of unease. Many times, the relationships that we are in, and of course, I will be talking about what kind of relationships we are talking about. But generally speaking, many times the relationships we are in are not only strained, they end up being very broken. And so this wonderful time, I invite you and the people in the house right there, and the people in that shop, and the people in that home, and the people in that vehicle you are traveling in, and the people who are simply seated outside, call them to come close as we talk about the issue of dealing appropriately, competently, and in a timely manner with our different multidimensional, multifaceted relationships that have been strained, stressed, given tension, very anxious, and probably already broken. Why don't you join with me right now and we pray? Lord our God, we thank you for this time, for the opportunity for us to be able to still be in fellowship electronically, to still be in fellowship through the different platforms online that you have given us. And now, as we talk about the issue of relationships, we pray that you speak to each one of us, wherever they are. Speak to each one of us in a way that will be so meaningful for each one of us as individuals, that in the next few minutes we have to share this word, each one of us will be equipped, empowered, and built rooted to be able to be in good position to nurture their relationships, but most especially to mend those that are having some difficulty. Let there be clarity of communication. Let there be focus of the things that we are going to talk about. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Even when you're there alone in that room, it's okay to say amen. So in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Awesome. All right. So, broken relationships, my brothers and my sisters, are quite dangerous. Relationships being broken is something that is not a circumstance we should be yearning to see. Because when relationships are broken, fellowships are weakened. When we have broken relationships, we will have destroyed friendships. When we have broken relationships, this will hinder answers to our prayers. That's what the Bible tells us. I found this in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. And this was specifically to people like me, and maybe like you, the husbands, the men, the fathers, those who have wives. That verse, 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7 says, likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, so that your prayers will not be hindered. You can imagine if your relationship with your wife is strained, is constrained, all these things we talked about. You risk your prayers not being answered. That's how serious it can be. Also, broken relationships are dangerous because they invalidate our spiritual offerings, our spiritual sacrifices. You may be, a worship leader like our wonderful friends who are here leading us today. Awesomely. That is the offering of worship. You are offering God worship as a sacrifice. You could be a preacher. You could be, a communicator of the gospel like I'm doing right now. That's an offering I'm bringing. Reverend Lovinsa, just a few minutes ago, was reminding us to still offer financially, to give the offertory, to give the tithes and so on and so forth. That is a financial offering. But let me tell you, if your relationship, this time with your brothers, with your sisters, is broken, if your relationship is broken, if your relationship is very strained, those offerings you are giving may be invalidated. When you read Matthew chapter 5, verse 23 to 24, Jesus makes this point very serious, to the point that he says, the moment you go to the altar and you're going to give your offering, and then you remember that you have an issue to sort with your brother or your sister, first put that offering on the side. Don't drop it in the basket. Go back home. Go back to the office. Go back to that neighborhood. First deal with the broken relationship. Put things right. Then you can come back, get hold of that offering, and then now you can drop it into the basket. That's how serious a broken relationship can be. So why are we talking about relationships? We are talking about relationships because we were created to live in them. God created us and planted us in the midst of other people. We were created to live with one another, to live together. In fact, we are related in ways more than one, in ways more than we think. Let me tell you that you are related with almost everybody you meet. If we don't talk about that in terms of, Adam and Eve story, we all came from him, and so on and so forth, let's just bring it down to where we are today. Maybe you are related with the person you meet by blood, your biological brother, your biological sister. Or you are related by ethnicity. All of you come from the same ethnic background. Or you are related with that person by nationality. All of you are Ugandans. All of you are Zimbabweans. All of you are Nigerians. All of you, are English people. You are Britons. By nationality. You are related maybe by race. All of you are Africans. All of you are Asians, Indians. All of you are Americans. You are really related to somebody you meet. Maybe you are related by gender. Both of you are men. Both of you are women. Maybe you are related even by profession. The person you are meeting is an accountant like you. The person you are meeting is an engineer like you. The person you are meeting is a coach, an executive coach like you. The person you are meeting is a doctor like you. The person you are meeting is a trader like you. I'm telling you, we always have something that makes us related, even when we think that we are very different. It could even be the level of education. Both of you are related by the fact that you hold a diploma. Both of you have a master's degree, or you are related because of the area of residence. You live in the same neighborhood. What's the point I'm making? The point is that we are more related than we think. We are always in relationships, and God created us to be in relationships. That's why in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 4, Apostle Paul says something interesting. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 4, in the Good News translation, it says, do your best to preserve the unity which the Spirit gives by means of the peace that binds us together. Hallelujah. So the Bible is saying, do your best. In other words, when it comes to preserving unity, you are supposed to do your best. You're supposed to excel in the aspect of mending relationships to ensure that unity is restored. Now, these relationships, they become strained because of many reasons. For example, some of us, maybe you who is watching me right now, listening to me, your relationships are strained because of pride. Pride, arrogance, inflated egos, you know. Maybe some of us, our relationships with our parents, with our friends, with our neighbors, with our workmates, our relationships are strained because of prejudices, biases. You look at somebody and you say, that kind of a nose, I won't cooperate with him. You can imagine. That's how funny it can be. That's how ridiculous it can be. Some of us, our relationships have been so strained simply because of selfish decisions. We made choices that were purely selfish, and so as a result, others who felt that they were not considered, they do not want to now work with you anymore, just because of a selfish decision. For some of us, it is because of self-importance. You know, our conduct, our behavior shows that we are self-righteous, we are self-important, others don't matter. I want to put it to us that some of us, our relationships are strained because maybe we are simply ignorant about the value of relationships. We don't know how important it is for us to have social capital, for us to have healthy relationships. Yet for some other people, their relationships are strained and broken because of fighting for the same opportunities with that kind of mindset that I call the scarcity mindset. You see an opportunity, and because you think if somebody else takes it, you will never have yours, so you fight for the same opportunity, and you end up having strained relationships. Well, for others, just like the Bible says in James chapter 3, verse 16, the relationships are broken down because of jealousy, because of selfish ambitions. And for others, it is simply because we think differently. But because we think differently, we don't know how to handle the differences, and so we end up conflicting terribly that our relationships become so strained, so stressed, so uneasy, filled with nervousness, being on the edge of breaking down. So I want to thank Uganda Christian University, where we are right now, for focusing on developing leaders and also empowering the community, the UCU community, to be able to become people who are leaders. And now, when it comes to leaders, leaders must learn to attend to broken relationships. God has given me an immense opportunity to work with leaders. For the last more than 1 decade, I've been doing a lot of work with leaders. I'm a certified executive coach. I'm a leadership consultant. I've written books on leadership. I speak and train leaders. Every now and again, every week, I am in the company of leaders, empowering them through coaching, through training, mentorship, and so on and so forth. I want to tell you that if you are a leader who is going to make a wonderful difference, a transformational leader, you need to be able to have the skill of dealing with conflict, the skill of mending relationships. But not only the skill, but also the attitude of creating unity, of preserving harmony. That's a cardinal hallmark of a leader. A good leader ensures that people are working together. A good leader ensures that he builds the teams and ensures that on those teams, people are having, relationships that are smoother. Not that people are not conflicting, but that when the conflicts come up, the leader knows how to handle them. That's very important. So when relationships break down, different leaders respond differently. Some of them, especially when they are the ones involved in the conflict, they decided to fight further. They exacerbate that kind of broken relationship, the conflict. They pour fuel on it. Interestingly, as I talk right now, just today, a few minutes ago before I came here, I was on a call for 30 minutes, to be specific, 29 minutes, speaking with somebody who has been having a strained relationship. In fact, a series of strained relationships. And for her, whenever the relationships are strained, she fights. She is a fighter. She says, I'm not losing this battle. I am not giving up. I am going to show him the materials I am made of. I am going to fight to the end. So as a result, she's always pouring fuel instead of pouring water onto the fires. Some of the other leaders, whenever their relationships get broken, they instead ignore them as if nothing happened. Others get forever crushed beyond healing. They get depressed. They get stressed. They want to die with the broken relationship, with that, emotional lack of emotional hygiene due to a broken relationships. Others find who to blame, and they simply amplify the blame. Once they find who to blame, then they boost the blame to ensure that this person really is the one seen as the problem. It happened to me about 13 years ago when I was in an office and somebody entered the office and looked at me without greeting me, without saying anything, and he said, Samuel, you are the problem. And then I wondered, what is this lady talking about? No greeting, no nothing. She just said, you are the problem. And then I kept quiet. I just kept on looking at her. And then she said, you are the one in charge of the programs here. How come the other program is not working well? You are the problem. So I just held myself like this, kept quiet, said nothing, kept on looking at her. Said totally nothing. When she realized I was not about to fight back or say anything, she just, she nodded her head, walked out of the office. A month later, the board of directors of that organization unanimously agreed in a board meeting that she was the problem of the company. So when relationships get broken, some leaders find who to blame, some people find who to blame, and they amplify the blame. Interestingly, others start to recruit supporters, so that they divide the team, so that they have cliques, and then they bring people, on their team to work against the other one. That's how they respond to broken relationships. That's how they respond to conflict when it happens. But friends, I want to tell you this day that when relationships are strained, they don't need to be strained further. They instead need to be mended. They need to be worked on. They need to be brought back. They need to be put together afresh. Our chaplain has read for us 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 14 to verse 21. It's telling us that we have been called to a ministry of mending relationships. We've been called to the ministry of reconciliation. And reconciliation is about settling issues. Reconciliation is about reuniting people. Reconciliation is about resolving the tension. It's about coming to an understanding with others. It's about making a healthy compromise. It's about ceasing fire. It's about bringing back people together. Remember, we are talking about the relationship being broken. Good news, it's not yet dead. It's only broken. So don't hurry to bury it. You can bring it back to life, whatever relationship it is. Here at Uganda Christian University, I'm so thankful for the choice of the theme for this semester. The theme for this semester says, winning privately leading publicly. And this is about self-leadership. Indeed, if you are going to be able to lead others, you need to be able to lead yourself. If you're going to be able to lead teams, you need to be able to have private wins that can give you public leadership. So if you are to mend any broken relationships, I want to remind you, as I remind myself, of some 3 important facts about relationships in our lives. Number 1, the people that you live with are God's choice for you, so just be comfortable with them. You didn't choose them. You didn't choose that brother to be born with him. Yes, now you have a strained relationship. You didn't choose him. God chose him for you. The people you are serving with in this worship team, you didn't make an application to serve with the other brother. You simply met together on that team. They are God's choice for you. Be comfortable with them, regardless of the type of nose they have, the length of intestines, or the color of their skin. They are God's choice for you. Be comfortable with them. Fact number 2 is that the people you work with are God's hand of help for you. He has placed them in your life so that they can be able to be your assistants. So you better accept their help, regardless of how difficult they may be. Fact number 3 is that the people you meet are God's assignment for them, for you. You better seek to build them. Why do you think he has brought those ones before you, not others? They are your assignment. Hallelujah. So here is the reality, my friends. Some people can really be very difficult to live with, to work with, to serve with. That is a reality. So I'm not talking about these things because, people are okay, we are the ones that are bad. No, I know that some people can be really difficult to serve with and work with. But God gives us a solution in Romans chapter 12, verse 18. In the International Standard Version, he says, if possible, so far as it depends on you, live in peace with all people. Let me read it again. If possible, so far as it depends on you, live in peace with all people. Now, there are 2 things here. Number 1, if possible. Number 2, so far as it depends on you. Let me talk about each one of those. When he says, if possible, he knows that at times it is unavoidable. When he says, if possible, be at peace with people, he knows that some people are not interested in peace. When he says, if possible, live in peace with others, he knows that there is a place and a time for disagreement, a place for conflict. When he says, if possible, be at peace with others, he knows that sometimes when you are firm on your convictions and you're standing for principle, for godliness, you will have conflict. So he says, if possible, because there are times when it will not be possible. But secondly, he says, so far as it depends on you. I want to propose that most of the times, it really depends on you. The state of the relationships you are in and how they can finally turn out depends on you, depends on the action you take. So therefore, as we come to the close of this sharing today, I want to briefly share with you what we therefore need to do in order to mend broken relationships. Briefly, number 1, admit your wrongs. Learn to admit whenever you are wrong. It is a mark of intelligence. It is a mark, of civilization, so to speak. A civilized person admits their wrongs when they realize they are wrong. In fact, I did exactly that today morning with somebody. I realized I was wrong in a conversation I had with her just a few weeks ago, and I've been reflecting upon it. This morning I got my phone and sent her a clearly worded message to let her know that I realize that on this and this and this, I was wrong and I request to be forgiven. Yes, admit when you are wrong. There is nothing wrong with you admitting you were wrong. There is everything wrong with you thinking you are not wrong. You see? But number 2, learn to apologize. It actually cools down the tempers. Learn to apologize. Learn to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, therefore I am sorry. I am sorry. Ask for forgiveness. Number 3, take the initiative. Don't wait for them to be the ones to come and talk to you. Why don't you go first? Go first. Go first today. In fact, immediately after this message, I would like to challenge you. Get that phone. Make that call. Talk to that lady. Say, I am sorry. I didn't treat you right in our boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. I didn't give you the respect you deserved. I broke the egg and also shattered the eggshells. I was wrong. I request you to forgive me. Take the initiative. Don't wait for them to be the ones to come. And number 4, learn to forgive. It's an act of courage. Only the bold can forgive. Only the courageous can forgive. I remember many years ago, to be specific, about 19 years ago, I had a list of 5 people that I wanted to kill because of the things they had taken me through as a young child. And I was ready to kill them. When I grew up, I had them on my list. 5 of them. 3 adults and 2, young ones. But I want to thank God that when He forgave me and gave me an opportunity to be called a child of God, not just merely a creature, a creation of God, but now transitioning into a child, I let them free. I forgave them. I released them. And my life has never been the same again. My relationships with them have never been the same again. Learn to forgive. It's an act of courage. But also, I invite you from today onwards, learn to treasure the relationship more than you treasure being right. Many times our relationships are strained because we are trying to prove a point, because we are trying to show that we were right, because we are trying to show that the other people are wrong. We are the only ones right. And by the way, let me tell you, sometimes you are right. The other person is wrong. But if you want relationships to thrive, sometimes you need to learn to choose your battles. Leave some battles. Even if the other person is right, treasure the relationship more than you treasure you being right and say, well, that's all right. Even when you know the person is wrong and you're right. Learn to treasure the relationships more than you treasure being right. And lastly, give others a second chance. That's exactly what I told the person I'm talking about that I talked with a few minutes ago. I said, you have also made many mistakes in your life, but people have put up with you. People have forgiven you many times. Yeah, why don't people have given you the second and the third chance and the fourth chance? You can also afford to give some people the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth and the sixth chance until they really prove themselves to you that they do not need any other chance in your life. And when they prove to you, it's time for you to give them one more chance and see what happens. Mend the relationships. As much as it depends on you, live in peace with all people. Let me end this way. It's my prayer that the mending of relationships will happen at all the levels of society. It's my prayer that we will mend relationships at the interpersonal level. Interpersonal level. Wife and husband. Parent and child. Brother and sister. Workmate and workmate. Neighbor and neighbor. Individuals in the fellowship. Interpersonal relationships. I pray that we will mend relationships at the inter-team level. Choir X and choir Y. Fellowship A and fellowship B. Faculty 1 and faculty 2. You can't imagine sometimes in a university like this, you find one faculty, they call it beef. One faculty has beef against another faculty. And you wonder, a faculty is not a human being that you say that man or that woman. So I pray that there would be mending of fences and relationships at the inter-team level. I pray that there would be mending of broken relationships at the institutional level, Company X and Company Y, NGO 1 and NGO 2, Church A and Church B, between University 1 and University 2, between political party X and political party Y, just like it was in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 10 to verse 12. There were 3 parties, in fact 4. There was the party of Peter, there was the party of Apollos, there was the party of Cephas, there was the party of Jesus Christ. So Paul came and asked them, these kinds of parties that you have, put for yourselves, of what use are they? Why don't you work together? Were you baptized in the name of Apollos? Was the name of Paul the one that saved your life? Focus on Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. I pray that we will also mend relationships at the national level. The national institutions, for example, the security institutions, UPDF and Uganda Police Force, work together, mend broken relationships. Parliament of Uganda and the judiciary of this nation work together, mend relationships. Tribes, Buganda and Bunyoro, work together, love one another, mend broken relationships in this country. Amasaza Gabra, lost counties. Now, we are also now having lost destinies, lost relationships, lost opportunities just because of lost counties many years ago. Mend relationships, Uganda, mend relationships internationally. Banyankore versus Baganda, Itesots versus Karmajong, they stole our cows. Mend the broken relationships. We are one. We are one nation under God. National figures, lead the way. Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oranya, I am inviting you to mend the broken relationship with the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga. National figures, lead the way. His Excellency, the President of this country. Oh, what a wonderful day it will be when I see you giving Colonel retired Dr. Chiza Besigye a big hug with a wonderful smile. You look at each other and you say, you are my brother, we are Ugandans, let's work together. Mend broken relationships even at the national level. Praise the Lord. And also all of you as the national leaders, mend your broken relationship with the citizens of this country. Where they think you have been wrong, find it okay to say we were wrong, we are sorry, let's work together and take our country forward. But maybe we should not also forget what I'm going to call the intra-personal relationship, the relationship with yourself. Are you at peace with yourself, my brother? Have you forgiven yourself yet, my sister? Are you in a good relationship with yourself? Mend the relationship, but also the extra-personal. Are you in good standing as far as your relationship with God is concerned? Friends, let us mend our broken relationship. And if somebody comes to you today and says they want to put things right, they want to mend their relationship with you, I encourage you to welcome them. I encourage you to listen to them. I encourage you to cooperate with the process. I encourage you to acknowledge your contribution to the process, to the strain, to the tension. Offer them forgiveness. Put the past in the past. Focus on building a new future. We are one. I leave you with the words of Paul in the letter he wrote to the Roman church, chapter 15, verse 5 and 6. May the God of endurance and encouragement grant you to live in such harmony with one another, in accord with Christ Jesus, that together you may with one voice glorify the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.